That's the one I'm used to saying, is Ken Ward, the co-founder of the Climate Disobedience Center. ClimateDisobedience.org is the website. Also shutitdown.today. You can tweet him at WardKen, W-A-R-D-K-E-N, or at Climate Disobey, or at, and the hashtag is shutitdown. Ken, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tom.
Thanks for joining us. So we are seeing the water protectors at Dakota Access Pipeline, arguably climate activists, being brutalized by private corporations and by the local police. We're looking at activists all over the country who are trying to save our environment. I mean, going all the way back to you know, the Shell oil thing, that rig that was in Seattle Harbor that was effectively blocked for a while there. But a lot of these people are looking at serious jail time. Tell me about the state of and the conundrum, the challenges facing climate activists right now.
Yeah, we are in fact seeing that, and you know, just watching as you said, the really brutal response to peaceful activists just praying in the face of water cannon and sub-zero weather it's horrific. So yeah, and I'm afraid that we're only seeing the beginning. I mean, we're now living in a world where we've got a president and an incoming cabinet that's denying reality of what's happening geophysically and want to hang on to and you know, pump that last gallon of oil or gas or mine the coal and
and put the profits in their own pockets via campaign contributions and whatnot. I get that.
Exactly, and we've got very little that one can do except for put your body on the line. And so I think we're going to see much more repressive actions like we're seeing right now. People facing, potentially pretty hefty imprisonment terms.
So what is happening around the country in terms of climate civil disobedience?
Well, I can speak to my own situation, really, only, which is other than Standing Rock, but which is as part of a group of folks about a month and a half ago. We closed down 5 pipelines that were carrying tar sands oil from Canada into the U.S. And a number of people were arrested for that in 4 different states and are facing a variety of charges. In my own case, I'm facing 3 felony charges in the state of Washington and a misdemeanor, which all told add up to 30-some-odd potential years of imprisonment, which is a far heftier response than we've seen in past climate actions.
Are you seriously concerned that you might end up going to prison for 30 years?
No, I don't think, especially that I don't have a record of doing this, and it was done in a nonviolent and a careful way. But it's theoretically possible.
Right. What about this interference? I mean, there's I believe it was a Georgia lawmaker who wants to introduce a piece of legislation that says that interfering with commerce is now defined as terrorism, which you know, under the Obama doctrine means that you could be designated an enemy combatant, a terrorist, and executed without due process of law, even if you're an American citizen.
Not sure about Georgia. I do know a similar piece of legislation is proposed for the state of Washington.
Right.
Yeah, I think that we're going to be facing, in addition to, you know, hefty reprisals and penalties, there's also a question of language here. I mean, I'm charged, for example, under 2 laws of sabotage, and words like terrorism are being thrown around.
Right.
Well, you know what? I mean, we're actually trying to halt terrorism and sabotage. I mean, this stuff that's being burned going into the atmosphere is causing, you know, the end of the conditions that make civilization possible. Now, that's terrorism on an unimaginable level. We aren't afforded any way of dealing with that other than putting our bodies on the line.
Right.
So yeah, I think actually we're fighting terror and we are fighting sabotage here.
Yeah, it certainly seems. What's the status of the Dakota Access Pipeline? I understand that presumably the feds are going to come in and break up the camps and move people out. Do you know how, when?
I know that the Army Corps has set a deadline of December 5th. I don't know what's going to happen. I know that the tribes themselves are saying that is land that was not ceded, and therefore it is theirs, and we support them in that.
Right. So is there any chance that there will be a legal challenge based on treaty law?
I really don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too.
It's successful.
So we're talking with Ken Ward. He's the co-founder of the Climate Disobedience Center, climatedisobedience.org. If somebody does not want to take the risk of ending up like you have, facing 30 years in prison, or just facing a protracted and expensive legal process, somebody who just can't afford to do that. They've got kids, they got a job, they've got they can't. What are the ways that the alternative ways that people can participate in supporting not just climate disobedience, but all forms of awakening of the American people and pushing back against the industrial oil congressional lobbyist complex?
Well, there's a whole variety of things out there. We're already seeing and hearing about a significant upsurge in support for climate action and environmental organizations, a lot of which will be focused on trying to fight the Trump administration policies. But I also think that there are some increasingly novel approaches, and a lot of them have to do with the courts. So partly what we're doing will be defending ourselves in courts, but I think that what the Children's Atmospheric Trust is doing, which is filing lawsuits on behalf of children, challenging both state, federal, and other national governments with not essentially not holding the atmosphere in trust as it is obligated to do for future generations.
Right.
But that is
that's
powerful.
That's the lawsuit that Jim Hansen initiated, right? Or is participating in.
Jim Hansen is the plaintiff, one of the plaintiffs,
right. on behalf of his granddaughter. Yeah.
So I think that people could both support that and also can consider bringing such lawsuits on their own. That we may see the courts as an increasingly fertile ground because it's not as subject to the difficulties of debate in public.
Right, and the whims of politics and all that sort of thing. Although increasingly our court system is being politicized. But Ken Ward, you're doing God's work. Thank you so much for being with us, Ken.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Shutitdowntoday and civilclimatedisobedience.org.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And you can tweet Ken at WardKen, WARDKEN. We'll be right back.